Hi, I'm Guy Lawrence, and you are listening to the Guy Lawrence podcast. If you're enjoying this content and you want to find out more and join me and come further down the rabbit hole, make sure you head back to guylawrence.com.au. Awesome, guys. Enjoy the show.
Okay, now we're talking. Now we're looking good. All right.
Beautiful.
Jesus.
Welcome. What are you drinking?
No time for chit chat, man. Let's get this going.
So we did quickly chat before we went live on the phone, and we decided to call this "Enhance Your Awareness, Upgrade Your Life Experience."
That sounds
Right?
good, hey?
Mm.
Enhance the
So
experience, upgrade your life experience.
yeah.
I like it.
So, and as always, being the host, I'm hosting, and I'm going to ask you fire off the first question. But it'd be a great place to start is why we decided to put this little Facebook Live together today, which will, of course, become a podcast a little bit further down the road as well. So let's start there.
So was that a question you just posed to me to get going?
Well, kind of. It's a statement, but you might as well roll it as a question.
Okay, I'll start then. Yeah, well, just that Sunday we were down in Melbourne, weren't we? We had a full day experience,
Full house.
full house. Yeah, it was fantastic launching off the tour. And I think both you and I, like as this work grows, we just get more and more insights. And for me being in that group, there's a handful of people that came to our retreats, and then they brought their partners to the 1 day event, and that just excites the hell out of me because these are typically people that wouldn't come and dive into the retreat experience or come to one of my sound healings or a workshop or whatever. Yeah, and then they came and they come out the other end and they're like, boom, bright-eyed and like, whoa, that was amazing, that was incredible. I feel like I've just like we said, upgraded my life and upgraded my experience, my awareness. And so for me, that's always been my journey is how do I bring this to the masses, to the mainstream mindset that, it's one thing to preach to the converted and to hang out with the, angels, fairies, mermaids, the hippies and the lalas who wear the cravat and the bindi and, all that stuff. But if we can't bring it into real world experience, then I think we're kind of missing the point. And in essence, we're creating another distraction for us. In essence, is what happens. So so I just I think both you and I agreed that we should put this out there to those that actually didn't get to and just like let's start just dispelling this belief that you have to be a hippie lala or you have to be broken.
You have to be broken to fix it.
To come to do personal development or to meditate even, it's like there's no, let's start. I mean, I've always had this like this idea that like across the planet in Western society, people will get up and brush their teeth, right? They won't think twice about it. And so why are we not getting up and brushing our consciousness, brushing our mind, clearing our mind with a meditation, and until that's a reality and our society is living from that space, I don't think that we're going to actually move in the progression or live to the potential that we actually are capable of.
Yeah.
So
I think with this work though, we tend to, because we're so busy in our lives and we get so distracted and there's so many things we should be doing or we could change, we lose sight of that, and it then feels like half the time the people that are coming have just got to the breaking point, right?
Yeah.
Then they're ready to look at it and change, and it's like, well, why wait? Like, what was the analogy you told me earlier? Because I said it's like, well, it's like not eating healthy because your health is not suffering.
Yeah. So just go eat crap and then wait for it to break down, just like your life.
Yeah.
And or prepare yourself and live more aligned so that you don't have the breakdown. You don't have the
Totally. And the other thing I think about as well when you look at it, because one of the big things is the way this can change us emotionally in a positive way, is that it's like saying, well, I'm reasonably content and happy, okay, which is great. And I'm all for that. But what about if that could unfold even deeper, to even deeper states of happiness and love and joy, and have experiences that we didn't even know were there. But just because we're not there, then we're not aware of it, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. So it's like, why don't we allow that into our life more anyway?
Absolutely. We'll raise the bar. Right? What's, what you perceive as your top level of happiness? Is there more levels that you can actually expand into? And once you've experienced something like that, then your whole point of reference, your whole frame of reference shifts. And then it's like, oh, more aspects of my life can actually expand and grow and be enhanced.
Yeah. So that was the first thing we wanted to address, because that was obvious. And then and it was wonderful to see people, like you said, especially the partners, because it's generally the wives dragging along the husbands at this stage.
Yeah.
I've yet to see it the other way. Have we? No, no, I don't think so. I haven't anyway.
No.
But it's like, it's excellent. And then, but when they come just because they've seen the changes in their partner and, and care enough to be there, then seeing those changes without actually, I think as well, is probably sometimes the best experiences happening, because you've got zero expectations. And from those zero expectations, it allows you to actually go further sometimes,
Well, that's it. Yeah. So just getting out of the everyday chatter and the everyday, well, that's what you talk about is the autonomic nervous system, right?
Yeah.
And how we're on autopilot through our lives. And so if you're coming in and you don't have an agenda and you're unplugging from, what you would have done on that day, and you have this space and to drop in and actually just be present with yourself. I mean, that's the key of it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just dropping in, having that space and gaining the awareness. What's going on for me? What am I doing? Where am I holding tension? Where am I holding, myself away from the joy, the happiness, or more so that I want to experience in my life?
Yeah, totally.
So
how does then, like we've called it, enhance your awareness, upgrade your life experience. We're kind of touching on that now, but I thought let's dive a little bit deeper on then how does enhancing your awareness, right, begin to upgrade your life experience? Now, my first question, how would you describe awareness? Like, how would you dive into that even?
Well, I think, that's a tough one to answer. What is awareness?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that one.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. You always send the questions this way, don't you? I gotta next time I'm gonna prepare my questions and just fling them back at you.
Yeah.
So awareness is how you perceive your experience. I would guess is your ability to, observe yourself or be present with yourself and with your life, with your, how. Like for example, I don't have an example. Do you realize that you're holding tension in your jaw? Do you realize that you're holding your shoulders up when you're sitting in your chair at work, and you come out of an office job of 10 hours of working in front of the computer, and you're like, oh, why is my neck so sore, my jaw so tight? And it's like, well, because you spent the whole day clenching and holding all that tension, but you weren't aware of it, you weren't conscious of it. And so, that's a physical kind of example of what awareness is or lack thereof. And we do that all the time, is that we spout things out of our mouth. We have reactions, we have emotions, we have thoughts, we have conditioned patterns and habits that we do over and over again. We just don't pay attention to it. And so, it's about it's attention. It's where's your attention? Is your attention on external, everything outside of yourself, or are you actually observing how you are in yourself when you are doing these things outside? Because the source of all that is happening in your life, all that you are experiencing, comes from within yourself. How you feel about it, how you have experienced it, the emotions, the thoughts, everything that you have gone through in your life creates a lens that you then look through, that becomes what you see outside of yourself. And so often we just only look at the outside. So we look on the other side of that lens, but we don't actually look at the lens. And so we try and change everything outside, but we're still looking through the dirty lens that we haven't cleaned in 20 years. So it's like, well, to me, awareness is what is actually going on, and how much of the information that's coming in am I actually paying attention to?
And I
What do
think
you
is
think?
what,
Could you take it?
yeah, I know, yeah. Well, I think
It's a
about
hard.
it's a tough one, but I think about being consciously aware of things, right? Because
Yeah.
most of our time we spend our time unconscious, and we are placing our
Mm.
awareness unconsciously on so many things that become habits, routines, and just behaviors that are constantly there. And for me, where you place your awareness is where you place your attention, right?
Mm.
And the what was I going to say? I was actually going somewhere with this. So we can only process so much information at any one time. Like we are able to place our attention, which is placing our awareness anywhere. And like you say, that's always constantly through our senses, but externally through the lens in which we look at, which can get clouded over time and for me, that cloudiness can happen from our past experiences that are
Mm.
shaping us the way we perceive the situation and and where we're placing our awareness.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well about our awareness is that, so we might be only focusing on certain aspects that are continually reinforcing the way we perceive life constantly, but we could be missing out on so much more because we haven't conditioned ourselves to shift our awareness or shift our focus onto other aspects of our life that could be there the whole time, but we're just not seeing it.
Yeah. Hence
And
the
for,
enhancing aspect of it.
Exactly. And for
Yeah.
me, the greatest part that influences where we place our attention and awareness is the way we feel.
Mm.
And so often the feelings that we have in our life can be well practiced and well rehearsed by the way we
Mm.
live our life from our past experiences, which then influences a bias to where we place our awareness. So we can end up seeing and feeling the same things daily, continuously, and reaffirming the life that we currently have. And we
Mm.
just think that's it.
Well, yeah, I think there's a collapsing down of our perception of reality in that, we have these emotions, we have these feelings about things, and we say, well, that's the way it is. But if you pull that apart, the only way you can have a feeling about anything that's happening or any experience that's going on is that you've interpreted it. So you've interpreted it based off of your life experience or your conditioned beliefs. And so when that gets collapsed down on reality, then that becomes the reality. And then you're reacting to what you think is reality, but you're actually reacting to a limitation within yourself. So the idea of enhancing your awareness then is to start to understand that, start to pull that apart and say, well, no, stuff's just going on in life. People are doing what they're doing, they're acting in the way that they are based on their experience. And then
Totally.
I've layered my story on top. And so if I can be more aware, enhance my awareness, then I can pull that apart and then go to the source of what it is that's causing me to experience life in the way that I am and change it. What's
No,
that?
that's gold. That's exactly right. And then
Right.
that's what's happening at the workshops because
Yeah.
we're able to people retreat for the day or even at the retreats for 3 days, which obviously can go deeper and further. But even on the
Yeah.
1 day workshops, it's enough time to get them out of
Yeah. You come
that loop.
the familiarity that we have in our lives and the
Yeah,
distractions that are going on, they get pulled away from
yeah,
and have an opportunity. Then you're just left with yourself, aren't you? And that's what we
exactly.
do with the meditations, with the sound journeys, with all the work
With the
through the
breath.
day.
Yeah.
The breath, oh, absolutely, the breath. And it's just
Mm.
come back in, come back in.
So
What's
we're
actually
taking that
going on under the
awareness,
hood?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Pull
the
it in.
sound effects too. Yeah, pull it in.
I know you're really getting the sound effects today. Well, I just had this image of like, you take your car in for a service. You're driving and it's like you wouldn't try and go and like if there's the car's not handling properly, you wouldn't just go around everywhere that you're driving and fix the road, would you? You would take the car in and say, oh, the car's not working properly. But what do we do in our lives? We go around, we try and fix everything that we're running into instead of actually going and taking ourselves in for a service, which is meditation, breath work, which is
Yeah,
sound, which is, that inner awareness, awareness within. So
yeah. And then that's when the cleaning of the lens comes, because it's coming from externally, because it's literally, like you say, and getting all the way back to, well, what's the source of that? That's influencing the way you're perceiving that given situation. Because like we say at the workshop as well, what we see is not truth, it's how we perceive it to be true. And there's a big difference there, you know. And if we can then start to collapse that source of what is influencing the way we perceive any given situation moment by moment, and become more consciously aware and start taking that back into the life, then as those moments arrive, you can actually start to look at it at a different level of mind of what might have created from your past experiences of the old patterns and old behaviors that would normally respond in the same way in that moment, which then keeps perpetuating your circumstances and the way you're living your life at this any given time. But the moment you catch yourself and you can see that, you can start to see it with a different level of mind, then that's going to influence the way you make a decision right there, and it's going to influence your actions, and then it can change your whole trajectory.
That's it. That's critical right there, because, you know, we're talking about this perception and enhancing our awareness, and I think a lot of people are like, well, what does it matter? You know, I've got my to-do list, I've got my responsibilities, I've got it, you know, I'm going about my life, I can just do it better and better, I can just, you know, get clear on what I want to do. It's like, why do I have to go back and get into awarenesses? And that's because of what you just said. You know, it's up-leveling that perception, up-leveling that place that we're in within ourselves as we then make decisions, so we can make clearer, more aligned and authentic decisions that then lead to the choices and the actions that we take in our lives, that then create a much more aligned experience of life than if we were
and this is it, right? One of the biggest things that scared me a while back, years ago, and as I was learning this work and I really started to hone in, is like, am I keeping myself just busy, or am I truly living life?
Yeah.
And I knew what the answer was.
Of course. You just look at society and you see it just, it's a disease. You know, it's
but you know, and from that place, this then allowed me to go, that's it, I'm pivoting. I really want to start to literally live life. And that's where I think the living flow really starts to then come into this work and gives you the confidence to do it. Because the more you do it, and like we discussed as well, I always look at it like we're upgrading circuitry within the body. We're allowing ourselves to have new reference points within, because we forget that we have systems within the body that need to carry information and pass information on, and we've got a nervous system that's sending information across your body, scanning your body any given second. Like there's millions upon millions of processes constantly happening. But if we're not used to perceiving and feeling a certain way, then we're not going to have the circuitry to run. Like, it's just not going to happen. And this work for me then starts really developing that. And all of a sudden we're actually training the body to know what it feels like to actually have more love in your life. Because to feel love, you've got to produce a hormone to have a love or joy or happiness. Like, there's always these chemical processes. So I start to think about then, as I start cultivating more of these states, my body gets addicted to that.
Yes.
And then that's where, but you're making choices from those states. And that's a huge difference, because then you have a very positive bias on life. And for me, that's with the business, I was starting to let go of that and literally just go, well, today's another gift. How am I going to live today? How can we enjoy it? Like you this morning, let's jump on Facebook Live, let's share this, let's do this. And it's like, cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's in alignment and it feels good and we have fun doing it. And
then in the long game too, is that I just think that, you know, we're coming back to Sydney. Okay, so Sydney's like, so there's so much chaos, there's so much like, and like I can't even back out of a parking spot because cars are just, and no one's gonna even wait for me, right? And I'm like, geez, let me just get out of the car spot, you know? And it's like, because we're also like just
On.
most of them unaware and on, and just distracting ourselves, just move. I got to get to here, got to get here, and then you just missed all of life with those blinders. And it's like, to me, it's just disheartening. It's so disheartening to see this world that we continually perpetuate, and that with these simple tools and that we offer through the work that we're doing, and it gives people that opportunity then to be more authentic and more kind to themselves, that then ultimately creates a more kind and aware, authentic world. And I'm just so conscious of that's something that just really, I think, it's like we can go around and around about the government issues, we can go around and around about cultural issues and society, financial issues, like you name it, we've hit it as this is the reason why society is, or humanity is, crashing and burning. And the truth of it is, it's just that it starts within. It starts with each one of us, and that the crashing and burning is going on inside every one of us, and that's the microcosm of this macrocosm that we then look at and blame for the reason why things are not functioning and thriving as we're meant to be. Totally. And so that's why it's like I'm so excited about, and I get on, let's do a Facebook Live, let's put it out there, let's just get it, because we have within our capacity to live much more to a higher potential, to a higher capacity as people on this planet. And I mean, that's just my overarching drive through all of this,
Totally. And the thing is, and I keep looking back upon how I used to perceive this stuff to now moving through it and embodying it, and now trying to pass that wisdom on that I've learned over the years, and you, right? And what you just said there can be kind of so easy to dismiss. Oh yeah, we'll enhance our lives. I'll do that next year. I'll do it when I'm less busy, when I got a bit more time to fit it in.
Yeah.
And we just continue denying ourselves of these experiences. And the way I look at it is like, why not try something different? Why not explore different avenues, even if it's not with us, but with something? Just start to break the I don't know, the stigma around it, even. Because ultimately, if we want to see any kind of change in other people, whether it be our family or friends or strangers, or the way like society is, we have to be the catalyst for that within our circles. Like, we have to be the change we want to see in others. There's no doubt about it, And we're always waiting for something else to happen. Always waiting for an external thing to come in and interrupt that. And my message is why wait?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I went deep.
It's deep, mate.
But it's true. It's true. I'm really proud of what we're doing, and from what we witnessed in Melbourne the weekend, and just within one day, it's really powerful shit. And everyone leaves there with a huge smile on their face, with a lot of light bulbs and aha moments. And everyone walks in a little bit wary of us, and what are these guys going to do with us? And how's it going to, and nothing gives me more greater joy than what happened Sunday. Like, it was so much fun. So,
we didn't even have to put a turban on and dance around the room naked. Like,
no, no, it didn't go down well in the last workshop, so I figured it wasn't.
That's it. Yeah, just keep it above the board, mate.
Exactly. So just to wrap up what we kind of talking about then, and it's always good to give takeaways for people, right?
Yeah.
And they might be here and they might have listened to our podcast or our conversations before. It might be for the first time. I have no idea, but a couple of suggestions then how we can enhance our awareness on a daily basis, just to start. They can just go away today and go, right, I'm gonna give this a go, see what these cats are on about.
That's it. It's simple. I think I'm just trying, like, in my mind, I'm thinking practices that just like snowball in. So the very simplest thing is like you can just set your clock, set your phone to ping every hour, and then in an hour just say, well, what am I feeling? You know, what am I feeling right now? Just simple like that, and you just start to pay attention to your emotions, and then that's going to start to enhance your awareness of what's going on. Because how often do we almost never go through our day. We probably go through weeks before we actually acknowledge what we're feeling, and that just causes you to slow down, drop in, and just check in with yourself. Just like, what's going on under the hood? What's actually happening? Am I feeling? Where's my body? Where's my breath? And just stop. Stop, feel, and listen is what I used to say.
Stop. Yeah, right. Stop, flop, and drop. That was another one, wasn't it? Just like, just let the body go. Like if you're holding tension, and that just like, because that's, if you hold tension, it's going to be firing a signal to your brain. Tension, test,
That's
alert,
it.
stress, boom, boom.
Stress.
Scanning the situation, right? And for me, I love just asking the question, especially when something happens or somebody might say something the wrong way, or, you know, or I've taken something on, or just something where there's, you know, I mean, shit gets thrown at us every day, right? I love to just try and catch myself, because the thoughts start going, you know, the anger, right, or whatever it is, and just go, stop for a moment, breathe, and just go, is this real right now? Like, is this truth, or am I just perceiving this a certain way because this is how I react and respond every time something like this happens? And just interrupting that allows me to try and diffuse something and just try and see things for what they are. And then I normally then make a decision outside of my head that comes from my heart than just this reactionary thing that could then cause a lot more drama or a lot more circumstances that I just perpetuate, that could move on, you know? So for me as well, so that's then coming back to enhancing your awareness.
Is
right?
this real? Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it you said in the workshop? It reminds me of the thing you said about how would love.
What would love do?
What would love do? Yeah. So simple.
Yeah.
You're going through choices, actions.
Yeah.
What would love do?
Yeah. And would you rather be right or happy?
That's it. Those good ones.
Yeah. They come out now and then. They come out now and then.
Little pivot points, yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
is there anything else you'd like to add with what we've covered before
I think we hit it.
we wrap it up?
I think, you know, just in summary, like it's there's you have a wealth of resource within yourself to actually change the life that you have and actually live more, raise the bar of happiness or raise the bar of joy in your experience. You know, just that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and you don't have to be broken. Not that anyone's broken anyway. You know,
you don't have to be broken. You don't have to.
And inspire enhancing. But look, we've and for anyone that's listening to us for the first time or looking at this, because like I said, it'll be a podcast. We've got the Brisbane workshop coming up 21st of September, Saturday. We got stuff going on in October in Sydney, Canberra. We Sydney twice, and we've got Newcastle. They're the 5 destinations left over the next month. I've actually put a link in this Facebook Live where they can click through to that. If I have a 7-minute heart coherence meditation, that's another place, free one on my website. You have a meditation on your website. They're great places to start.
Absolutely.
You know, so take action, do something.
Do something
Get
different.
Amongst it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, mate. Good
Beautiful. To see you. Likewise, legend.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, mate. And hopefully see a few guys in Brisbane soon.
Yeah. See you guys.
Cheers.